I never thought doing the right thing would cost me everything. My kids, my job, my reputation, gone in an instant because of one misunderstood act of kindness. James stared at the eviction notice in his trembling hands, wondering how his life had unraveled so quickly after that fateful night with his boss. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more real-life stories that explore the unexpected consequences of our everyday choices. James Mitchell had mastered the delicate balancing act of single fatherhood. At 34, he'd spent the last 5 years raising his twins, Emma and Ethan, after their mother walked out, claiming she wasn't cut out for parenthood. He worked as a senior account manager at Horizon Marketing, where his organizational skills and dedication had earned him respect despite the occasional late arrival after school drop-offs or early departures for soccer practices. His boss, Victoria Winters, was a brilliant but demanding executive who had built Horizon from the ground up. At 42, she was known for her sharp business acumen, impeccable style, and the glass ceiling she'd shattered in the male-dominated advertising industry. Victoria respected James' work ethic and had accommodated his parenting schedule more than once, though she never failed to remind him of her generosity during performance reviews. The company's annual holiday party was in full swing at the Grand Hotel's ballroom. James had arranged for his neighbor, Mrs. Patel, to watch the twins for the evening. He nursed a single beer, knowing he needed to drive home safely and relieve Mrs. Patel by midnight. "James. There you are." Victoria's voice carried across the room as she approached, champagne glass in hand. Her normally perfect hair was slightly disheveled, and her cheeks flushed. "Why aren't you dancing?" "It's a party." "Just pacing myself," James replied with a polite smile. "I need to head home soon for the kids." Victoria waved dismissively. "Always the responsible one. That's why I need you on the Westfield account. We're presenting next week, and I want you to lead." James straightened. The Westfield account was huge, exactly the opportunity he needed to secure the promotion he'd been eyeing. With the twins starting private school next year, the salary bump would make all the difference. "I'd be honored," he said, genuinely excited. "Excellent." Victoria clinked her glass against his bottle. "Let's celebrate." 3 hours later, James was helping a very intoxicated Victoria into his car. She had continued drinking long after most employees had departed, eventually slurring her words and stumbling in her designer heels. When the bartender cut her off, she'd become indignant, and James had stepped in before she could make a scene. "Where do you live?" he asked, buckling her seatbelt as she slumped against the window. "Lakeside Towers, penthouse," she mumbled, her eyes half closed. James checked the time, 11:40 p.m. Lakeside Towers was on the opposite side of town from his apartment. He called Mrs. Patel, apologizing profusely and promising extra payment for the late night. The kind woman assured him the twins were already asleep and it was no trouble. The drive to Victoria's building was tense. She alternated between dozing off and making rambling comments about clients and competitors. When they arrived, James had to practically carry her to the elevator, her arm draped heavily around his shoulders while the night doorman watched with barely concealed interest. "Key card?" James asked when they reached her door. Victoria fumbled through her purse before producing a sleek black card. Inside, her penthouse was immaculate, all clean lines, modern art, and floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the city lights. James helped her to the sofa, removed her shoes, and found a blanket to cover her. "Water and aspirin," he murmured, locating both in her kitchen and placing them on the coffee table. "You'll need these tomorrow." As he turned to leave, Victoria grabbed his wrist. "Why are you so nice?" she asked, her voice suddenly vulnerable. "Nobody's nice without wanting something." "Just being decent," James replied, gently extracting himself. "Get some sleep, Victoria. I'll see you Monday." He left quietly, nodding to the doorman on his way out. It was nearly 1 a.m. when he finally relieved Mrs. Patel and checked on his sleeping children. Exhausted, he collapsed into bed, grateful the next day was Saturday. The morning brought pancakes with the twins and a text from Victoria, *, need to speak with you. Come to my office Monday, 8 a.m. sharp, *. James spent the weekend alternating between playing with his children and worrying about the meeting. Had he overstepped by taking her home? Would she be embarrassed? Angry? He rehearsed explanations, assuring himself he'd done the right thing. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and freezing rain. After dropping the twins at school, James arrived at Victoria's office precisely at 8, coffee in hand as a peace offering. Victoria sat behind her desk, immaculate as always, no trace of Friday's vulnerability. She gestured for him to sit without accepting the coffee. James, she began, her voice cool and professional, I need to ask you something, and I expect complete honesty. He nodded, setting the coffee aside. Did you come into my bedroom Friday night? The question hit him like a physical blow. What? No. Absolutely not. I helped you to the sofa and left immediately. Victoria's expression remained impassive. My bedroom door was open Saturday morning. I always close it. I never went near your bedroom, James insisted, his heart racing. I put you on the sofa with water and aspirin and left. The doorman says you were in my apartment for 23 minutes. That's a long time to just drop someone off. James felt cold sweat forming on his back. I had to help you upstairs. You were having trouble walking. Then I got you water and aspirin. That's all. Victoria studied him for a long moment. I've received an anonymous email claiming you've been making inappropriate comments about me to colleagues. Given Friday night's events, I'm concerned about a pattern of behavior. What? That's completely false. James protested, his mind reeling. Who would make such accusations? Victoria, you know me. I've worked here for 7 years. I'm a single dad just trying to do my job well. HR will be conducting an investigation, she continued as if he hadn't spoken. In the meantime, you're suspended with pay. Please clear your desk and surrender your access card. James felt the floor dropping beneath him. Victoria, please. This is a mistake. I would never. That will be all, James. She turned to her computer, effectively dismissing him. In a daze, James packed his personal items under the curious stares of his colleagues. By noon, rumors were swirling. By evening, his phone was filled with texts from co-workers, some supportive, others distancing themselves. The HR investigation moved with brutal efficiency, interviewing staff members about his behavior and relationship with Victoria. 3 days later, James was terminated for violation of company ethics policies. No specific allegations were detailed, but the implication was clear. His reputation was in tatters. The following weeks brought more devastation. Job applications went unanswered once potential employers contacted Horizon for references. His savings dwindled rapidly. Then came the custody challenge, his ex-wife suddenly reappearing with claims that his unstable employment situation and moral character issues made him an unfit parent. James sat in his small apartment, surrounded by past due notices, including an eviction warning. The twins were spending the weekend with their mother for the first time in years, leaving the apartment eerily quiet. His phone rang, an unknown number. Hello, he answered wearily. James Mitchell, a woman's voice asked. Speaking. This is Diana Chen from the Lakeside Towers security team. I believe we need to talk about the night of December 10th. James straightened. What about it? Our building recently upgraded to a new security system. I've been reviewing archived footage during the transition and found something concerning from that night. Would you be willing to come in and view it? 2 hours later, James sat in a small security office, watching footage that clearly showed Victoria's neighbor, a junior executive at a rival firm, using a key to enter her apartment shortly after James left. The man emerged 40 minutes later. "He has access because he watches her cat when she travels," Diana explained. "But Ms. Winters wasn't traveling that night." "Why are you showing me this?" James asked, hope and anger battling within him. "Because I overheard the doorman talking about you being fired. Something didn't add up. I pulled the timestamps from your visit and noticed this unauthorized entry." She handed him a flash drive. "I've made a copy for you. What you do with it is your business, but..." She hesitated. "My sister went through something similar. Sometimes people in power take advantage of situations." Armed with the footage, James contacted an employment attorney who took his case on contingency. The evidence suggested the neighbor had entered Victoria's bedroom, possibly planting doubts in her mind about James' behavior to eliminate him as competition for the Westfield account, which their companies were both pursuing. The legal battle was brutal but swift. Faced with the security footage and testimonials from colleagues about James' professional conduct, Horizon settled out of court. Victoria, confronted with evidence of her neighbor's deception, issued a formal apology and retraction of all allegations. 6 months after that fateful holiday party, James sat across from Victoria in a quiet cafe, neutral territory suggested by their respective attorneys. "I should have trusted you," she said, stirring her untouched coffee. "I let my own insecurities and someone else's manipulation cloud my judgment." James nodded, the anger he'd carried now tempered by exhaustion and relief. "You asked me a question that night, about why I was being nice. I told you I was just being decent. That's still true. But decency should go both ways." "I know," Victoria replied quietly. "The board has asked me to offer you your position back, with a substantial raise and the Westfield account leadership." James considered the offer. His financial situation was dire despite the settlement, and the twins' school tuition was coming due. "I appreciate that," he said finally. "But I've accepted a position with Meridian Creative. They value work-life balance and have policies to prevent what happened to me from happening to others." Victoria nodded, unsurprised. "They're lucky to have you." As they parted ways, James felt a weight lifting. The custody battle had ended when his ex-wife withdrew her petition after the truth emerged. His professional reputation was restored. Most importantly, he had protected what mattered most, his relationship with his children. That evening, as James helped Emma with her science project while Ethan practiced piano, his phone buzzed with a text from his new boss, *Team dinner Friday? Bring the kids if you need to. We're family-friendly here, *. James smiled, typing back, * will be there. Thank you, *. Sometimes life's greatest tests reveal our true strength. For James, the nightmare that began with an act of kindness had ultimately led him to a better place, one where his integrity and priorities were not just accommodated but valued. As he looked at his children, secure in the home he'd fought to keep, he realized that while one question had nearly shattered his life, it was his unwavering answer, his commitment to decency even when it wasn't returned, that had ultimately saved it. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these powerful stories of resilience and redemption. Remember, sometimes our darkest moments lead us to our brightest futures. Leave a comment below sharing a time when doing the right thing seemed to backfire but ultimately led to something better in your life.